The question today that we would like to discuss is how to manage a panic anxiety attack as per Bhagavad Gita or as per yoga philosophy. There are many learned people in the audience. I would like to request your views, and then we will also discuss what is written in ancient texts. Before that, I would like to ask my students what they want to share. How do you think a panic anxiety attack can be managed, either through yoga or through any other philosophy that is there in Gita or Patanjali Yoga Sutra? Student, anyone would like to answer?
Morning.
Saurindra? Yes, Tarana.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes.
I feel like we can control our anxiety attacks or physically with our breath.
Can you elaborate how?
Manipulating it, like with if it, we can see by deep breaths or by practicing a specific pranayam, we can manage our panic anxiety attacks.
Which pranayam?
Nadi Shuddhi,
Hmm.
Brahmari for anxiety attack.
Okay. Thank you, Tarana.
And so
Brinda,
left nostril breathing.
left nostril breathing also. Okay. Brinda, Saurindra, would you like to add anything more?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Saurindra.
Sir, Mahasi Patanjali has described about the 9 obstacles. I think that anxiety attack symptoms also sometimes comes there, like अंगमे जायात्वा, सांस प्रश्वास विक्षेपा, चित्त सहबुबा में आते हैं. तो इनको ओवरकम करने के लिए महर्षि पतंजलि ने बहुत सारे शायद 8 पास बताए हैं जिससे कि हम इनको ओवरकम कर सकते हैं, जिसमें है through knowledge also, through jnana of sapna nidra, like that also, all these are mentioned, sir. So through that we can also manage anxiety attack.
Saurindra, so you have to be more specific in your answer. I couldn't make out, exactly what you want to say. You gave some reference, but here question is, how do you practically manage it?
Sir, yes, what Tarana said, breathing was right through breathing practices. And I think, yes, it was the best way.
Okay. So Saurindra also goes with pranayama. Brinda.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I feel that people who have anxiety, they lack grounding. They're mostly in the future, thinking about what next, and they think fast. So maybe anything that increases their grounding or earth elements in them, maybe that will calm them down. According to Bhagavad Gita, I don't know, but maybe this.
Very beautifully answered. Very beautifully answered, Brinda. Brinda says that in anxiety, there is more air, more vata, and the earth element should be increased. They should be grounded. Very beautifully analyzed and answered. Okay. So now we can go to the experts who are there with us. There are doctors, there are many yoga practitioners, so people who would like to share their own experience, how they tackled anxiety, if they had similar situation or they could help anybody who was helped. Yeah, anybody else or any student wants to talk? Oh, people are unable to unmute, is it? I think so. There was some problem. Now, yes, Sanjeev sir.
सर डॉक्टर गांधी
भगवत गीता
स्पीकिंग.
के अनुसार तो नहीं कह सकता सर.
Yes, sir, after Sanjeev sir. Okay, yes, Sanjeev ji, आप बताइए.
तो भगवत गीता के अनुसार तो नहीं बता सकता, लेकिन सामान्य स्थिति में सबसे आसान काम है सांस लें, सांस को कंट्रोल करें. और अगर कभी कभी इतनी बेचैनी होती है कि आपकी सांस ही फूल रही हो, आप सांस लेने में भी सक्षम नहीं हो पा रहे हो ठीक से, तो बस आती जाती सांस को देख सकते हैं और अगर और अच्छी स्थिति है तो भस्त्रिका है, कपालभाति है, ये कर सकते हैं। मतलब कुछ बॉडीली कुछ और फिजिकल एक्सरसाइज की तरह भी कुछ हो जाए और प्राणायाम भी हो जाए। फिर उसके बाद आप नाद अनुसंधान कर सकते हैं। मतलब जैसे जैसे आपकी स्थिति अच्छी होती जा रही है। और वर्स्ट केस में मुझे लगता है कि सबसे बेहतर सर योग निद्रा है। सबसे बेहतर है आप कुछ ना करें, गाइडेड योग निद्रा में चले जाएं। बहुत से योग निद्रा के अभ्यास मिल जाते हैं, ऑनलाइन मिल जाते हैं। बिल्कुल असमर्थ है, शारीरिक रूप से असमर्थ है, मानसिक रूप से असमर्थ है, बेचैन है, योग निद्रा में चले जाएं। नींद आ जाती है, भले सो जाएं। मतलब मेरे ख्याल में सर
थैंक
एंजाइटी
यू
स्थिति
संजीव
से
सर।
निकलने का इससे अच्छा कोई उपाय नहीं। ईश्वर
थैंक
को
यू
याद
संजीव।
करें, अपने आराध्य देव को याद करें, गुरु को याद करें, प्रिय लोगों को याद करें,
हम्म
अच्छी स्थितियों को याद करें,
हम्म
और सब सारी परिस्थितियां बदल जाएंगी। जो भी है वो सब टेम्पररी है। ये तो सबसे ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है। सुख है तो भी जाएगा ही, दुख है तो भी जाएगा ही। That is it.
ब्यूटीफुली ब्यूटीफुली आंसर संजीव सर। आपने जो लास्ट का जो पॉइंट कहा, वो भगवत गीता में भी कृष्णा ने एम्फेसाइज किया है, जो हम डिस्कस करेंगे। हम जब पैनिक एंजाइटी की सिचुएशन आती है, उस समय में हम उनको फास्ट प्राणायाम करने के लिए मना करते हैं। लेकिन जो बाकी के जो आपने प्रैक्टिसेस बताए, जैसे कि स्लो ब्रीदिंग या योग निद्रा करना, वो एडवाइजेबल है। लेकिन कपालभाति, भस्त्रिका हम अवॉइड करने के लिए बोलते हैं। और जो दूसरा पार्ट आपने बताया, एक्चुअली कृष्ण भी अर्जुन को उसी वे में टैकल करते हैं, जो हम डिस्कस करेंगे। ओके, गांधी सर।
Sir, good morning, sir. So, as far as the panic anxiety attack in Bhagavad Gita, so in chapter 8 and 18, he says, always be aware of me, he says, Krishna says, always be aware of me. Anything it comes, bad things, anxiety, worries, tension. So when you remember Krishna, definitely our mantra, definitely it will come down, it will slow down your anxiety. And also in ninth chapter, he says, make it whatever it comes, whether it's a good or bad, make it to offer to me. So offering towards Krishna, whatever that comes, whether it's a sad or joy or everything. So offer it goes to the Krishna only. And so other than that one, as we know, the slowing down of our mind because of our behavior pattern, that is hurry sickness. So in a short time, we want to do a lot of things, and that is known as hurry sickness, is the major component of type A behavior pattern, which leads to the anxiety. And for that, what they think is that we have to simplify our life. And also we should, while doing any work, it should be one pointed awareness should be there. For example, when you are eating or reading, and you can simultaneously, you cannot see the TV and do the same double two works at the same time. Either for that you cannot give the same attention, that leads to the anxiety also. And repetition of mantra will help when there is real anxiety comes. And also you can concentrate on our breath, anuloma, vinuloma, or nadi suddhi. If you do it, definitely your mind will be diverted, and the anxiety which is causing maybe attention may be diverted. That's what I think, sir.
Very beautifully answered, Gandhi sir. Gandhi sir emphasized 2 points. One is that you can use bhakti here, but bhakti will work only if you had been, devoted to a deity and you had been using a mantra for a long time. अगर आप पहले से मंत्र को बहुत समय से चांट कर रहे हैं, तो वो मंत्र आपको हेल्प करने के लिए आएगा। लेकिन if you have never been devoted or never chanted any mantra, then that mantra will not appear that powerful to you in the moment of anxiety. So therefore, a person who has this kind of anxiety problem can, actually select a mantra of a deity, whoever that the person feels connected, and start chanting. Then even when the person is completely normal, when that mantra, at least in a day, one should chant 11 beats of that mantra, that 1108 into 11. If that daily dose is given, that mantra sinks deep into physiology. And then I have seen that people who do this regularly for 3 months, after that, that mantra becomes a tool, a cue for them to get into the deep state of relaxation. In that situation, mantra can really be very, very useful. And he said that you offer it to the Krishna or to the divine. If you have that connection, then that sense of gratitude and sense of surrender can also help. Yes, Sukumarji.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
So first, anxiety is an emotion, okay, and emotion. And most of the time, anxiety, panic attack is a pooling of anxiety. So it's a generalized anxiety disorder according to DSM-5 ICD-11. So it will occur. Most of the time, anxiety come because of future thinking. Depression will come fast. And I heard in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is in the panic mode, and Krishna helped him to change the thought when there are relatives in front of them, how to kill them, and you don't know what to do it. So, according to a scientific point of view, biologically, there is a cortisol, too much cortisol pulled up. Flight and flight response will activate your central nervous system. And how to calm down according to yoga, I learned my personally. So most of the neurotic people have this tendency. Try anxiety people, they have anxiety symptoms previously. So their particular Brahmari, yeah, I don't know am I pronouncing properly or not. So that breathing, Brahmari, humming B sound will make them calm down very quickly. Ah, woo, so outside, inside, and sound will make you very calm down. And outside world, so we have to make inside calm. That is I learned from you from in yoga point of view. Yes. And Jacobson relaxation technique, and we will use for clinical setup, auto suggestion. These are the methods we will use for relaxing the muscles and joints, and slowly systematically controlling the anxiety, and image the scene. Imaginary techniques, changing the thought will help you to reduce the panic attack. And particularly carbon dioxide is too much that is, so immediately in clinical setup, you will ask them to take deep breath and out using the polythene paper. It will reduce. This is the way we will help the clients in our clinic.
Yes, Sukumarji, very beautifully answered. The mechanism here is that the CO2 should not be washed out. CO2 should be retained. So they breathe in and out of a polythene bag. So CO2 has a calming effect. And as Sukumarji said, there are various techniques, that are there. But we are talking of techniques that people can use themselves, that I can help myself with. And in that domain, these practices of breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the mouth slowly, breathing is definitely a very important part here. Yeah, some more people have thought. In the chat box, there is a question regarding what is panic anxiety. See, panic anxiety is a situation where person is overwhelmed by fear so much that there is a very intense fear of death, or a intense fear that something is going to go wrong, and the person is not able to control the physical symptoms. His hand shiver, there is palpitation, heartbeat, the breath chokes. That kind of symptom come, and the person feels that he is going to die, or something very dreaded is going to happen. He goes to the extremes of consequences in his mind, and a lot of sympathetic activation. So with this kind of problem, actually many people come to cardiac emergency clinic in Narayan Hrudayalaya and many and such places, emergency, and the doctor only gives them a relaxation, benzodiazepine kind of a medication, and they feel okay after that. So so this is the kind of a situation that they are brought into emergency, and almost 20% of the cases who come to cardiac emergency do not have heart problem, they have a panic anxiety attack. Okay. Anuja ji, please share your views.
Sanji, namaste. There are two things I wanted to say. One is that at the practical level, a lot of people have given some very helpful advice. one thing that can also help is lying down and visualizing peace coming into your being. Like the way that you make us do in guided yogic relaxation, where we're imagining the infinite. So you
Yes.
can imagine peace as a golden light coming into your being, or you can imagine peace as, the touch of your mother, or whatever form or shape works best for you. And the other more philosophical thing that I wanted to say was that very often anxiety comes from not having a sense of why this is happening to me. Or, let's say, like in my case, I had a car accident, and then I had an illness after the car accident. My symptoms, because of the concussion, did not resolve. And so there was a lot of anxiety about, when will this get better? When will I be well again? And one thing that helped me was, because I do believe in the divine, thinking that this has also come from the divine. Just like happiness comes from the divine and good fortune comes from the divine, this also has come from the divine. And then to think that then he will take care of it, that. So it's again what someone else was saying, offering to the divine, but also thinking that, okay, he's given it, so it's his, it's almost like his problem to take care of me because I'm his child. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Beautiful, very
Thanks.
beautifully answered, Anuja ji. And that touch of peace, touch of mother was a very, very beautiful practical solution. And this, that it has come from divine, because the divine wants me to grow over my fears. Hmm? So the divine
Yes, and
wants me
very
to
often
come out
the
strong.
reason
Yeah.
the reason behind something is not evident at that time. It is evident much later.
Yeah.
And so at that point, when we're getting anxious about the future, about like maybe our career or maybe a relationship or whatever it might be, we must have that trust in the divine, and have that trust that he knows what he's doing in our lives. He's taking care of us. And so even if it doesn't seem like that to us, the larger purpose is not something that is evident to us, but it is to him.
Yes. And in future it will be revealed, and we will
Mhm.
most probably thank for the situation. Wonderful, wonderful. Lalita ji.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, I was, whatever all the other people have said is, yes, exactly what I feel also. Another thing which has helped me is when I panic, I just sit in silence. I don't know whether to call it meditation, but I just sit in silence and try to absorb my surroundings. And then, okay, now let me handle it. That kind of this thing. Breathing, of course, yes, breathing primarily helps a lot. So one point I wanted to ask you is panic attacks, when we talk about, it's more with school children, examination, and sometimes the most brilliant students also, because they get panic attacks due to examination fear, they end up not performing well. So if you could touch upon this, it will really help me also, sir.
Yeah, so there is another thing known as performance anxiety. When you have to perform, when you have, there are people, when nobody is watching them, they do very well. As soon as people watch, they suddenly go blank. That is also a kind of a anxiety situation only, where the pressure to perform is very high, and the higher the pressure, the more are the chances that people get stuck into that. Okay, we will go forward now. Anybody else? Any other views? Fine. So let us see what traditional texts have to say. So we see in Bhagavad Gita, as Bhagavad Gita starts, then as soon as Arjuna, sees his kinsman there standing in front of him for war, see how the symptoms have been described. How Arjuna describes his own symptoms. दृष्टवेमं स्वजनं कृष्ण युयुत्सुं समुपस्थितं सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि मुखं च परिशुष्यते. My body is now shivering, my mouth is getting dry. Vepatuscha sharire me. In my body there is a shiver, and my limbs are giving away. Roma harshascha jayate. My hair are standing on the end like horripilations. Gandiv sanstrahaste mam vakchevacha paridahyate. My skin is burning and my gandiva, my powerful weapon, is now slipping out of my hand. न च शक्नोमि अहम अवस्थातुम. I am not able to stabilize myself. Brahmativa cha me manaha. And my mind is reeling, it is getting completely confused. Nimittani cha pashyami vipritani keshava. And I see that around me all things are giving me negative omen. I am seeing everything as giving me a negative feedback. So that kind of a situation he describes. Now, how does Krishna actually tackle this situation when Arjuna says that? So we see Krishna as a therapist, Bhagavad Gita 2.7. First thing that he does is he doesn't interfere from 1 point, to 8, and all his symptoms have started till 1.52, that till the chapter finishes, another 20-30 shlokas, Arjuna just keeps on describing his problem and why he should not fight. And Krishna does not interfere with Arjuna. He tells one line and again Arjuna starts telling many things. So he just keeps listening to him. So the first thing that a therapist should do is listen attentively when the person is in panic and he's talking. He demands attention that, okay, somebody is there to listen to me, to my problem. That itself is, a kind of a thing that brings solace and calmness to the person who is in panic. So he doesn't interfere. Second thing is that throughout this panic, it is quite possible that when a person in front of us is in panic, we also get into panic. So the therapist has to maintain his composure, calmness, and remain relaxed. And after this, we see that Krishna says, so Arjuna, he doesn't start the dialogue until Arjuna actually has nothing more to talk. And finally, after telling everything, he goes on till the second chapter and the 7th shloka of the second chapter. Then he says, contemplating his own mind, he says that kaparnya dosho upuhat swabhavah. I am confused about my duty. And then dharma sammudha chetas. It means that whether to do it or not to do it, I don't know. Kaparna dosho swabhava means I am with faint-heartedness and anxiety. Therefore, now only you can help me. Please instruct me. Shishyate aham shadhi mam tvam prapannam. I surrender to you and please accept me as your disciple and please guide me. So when Arjuna is ready to receive, then, and when he requests help, it is then that Krishna helps him. And after that, very beautifully, we see that Krishna here adopts a cognitive and a metacognitive approach. Cognitive approach is when you try to change the thinking pattern, and metacognitive is you don't get into the pattern of thinking, but you look at it from an outside direction. Like a metacognitive means who is thinking, who is getting into panic, that kind of a mode. So in the beginning, he emphasizes, as Sanjay ji was also saying, Sanjeev ji, emphasizes transient nature of the situation. What does he say? A few moments before you were completely all right. And again, after this war is over, after everything is over, you will be all right again. So why suffer in between? When we get into panic, we think that it is going to go on till infinity or there is no way out of it. We become completely hopeless. So here hope has to be generated, saying that a few minutes before this attack you were all right, and this attack will again go away and you will be all right. You are only suffering in between. So a very famous sloka from Bhagavad Gita, matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada agama paino anityaha tan titikshasva bharata. Just tolerate this attack for some more time. You will see that this is like a wave, it has come and it will go away, and once again that calmness will touch you. So that cognition Krishna tries to bring in. And then he also, emphasizes the reward of stable behavior. If you maintain stability, you will be able to come out of this fear. So one, the noblest among men who is not affected by these waves of happiness and distress and remains steady in both the situations, such a person becomes eligible for Amrit Tattva. Amrita it means freedom from fear and death. So if you practice this kind of a behavior, stability, you will be able to go beyond fear and death. That is how he, in the immediate shloka, he gives a positive reinforcement to him. And then, you see that he, from the cognitive, like changing the thinking process, he starts adding the metacognitive component to it. He says, na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. It means that the transient, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, there is no cessation. What you are suffering is transient. Whereas the eternal that you truly are is untouched by all these transient waves. That is what we do in our Yoga Nidra practice also, where we say that the suffering belongs to the body, the suffering belongs to the mind, not me. I am the untouched observer. So it is in this kind of a state that Krishna tries to bring Arjuna and shifts his attention on the stable, unchanging base on which the transient is moving. So, as Brinda was saying, grounding into the consciousness. So, continues metacognitive approach saying, Avinashi tu tad viddhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasam avyavayasya na kaschit kartum arasi. It means that which pervades the entire body, know that Atman, that consciousness to be indestructible. No one can cause the destruction of the imperishable soul. Probably it is that touch of that peace, with Anuja ji was saying. Then he goes all the way, describing the Atman in detail, the famous sloka of Nayanam Chindanti Shastrani, Nayanam Dahati Pavakaha, Na Chainam Kledayantyapah, Na Shoshayati Marutah. Weapons cannot cut the soul, not can fire burn it. Water cannot wet it, wind cannot dry it. The soul is unbreakable, incombustible. It cannot be dampened or dried. How is it? How is the nature? Nityaha, everlasting, sarvagataha, everywhere. Sthanuhu, unalterable, achaloyam sanatanaha, primordial and unmoving. So, the important aspect that we have to understand here is that in the consciousness, in the mind itself, Krishna first tells him that whatever upheaval that is going on is transitory. And then he brings his attention to the stable base on which the movement is going on, and shift your awareness from the moving, fleeting kind of emotions to the stable consciousness. This grounding in the consciousness is done by such words, whereas in the body, there are certain asanas which can ground you more, and certain pranayamas which can ground you more. For example, for grounding, stable base is very important, and one of the asana that we find very useful in such situation is Shashankasana. In Shashankasana, the most of the body part of the person are surrendered to the gravity. So the earth element dominates. The forehead touches the ground, where there are lot of vata, lot of thinking that is going on. So as you touch it to the ground, the grounding takes place, the excess electrical currents also ground, and you feel calm, the vata dissipates. And in this position, the person can, to enhance his grounding and to turn himself more inward, to go towards the Atman, towards the metacognitive self, he can use gentle humming. So coming to this kind of a position, touching the forehead onto the ground, and then feel the vibration in the forehead by chanting and continue to dissipate, those worrying thought and anxiety in this soothing vibration of Makara. Also, as the person starts calming down, he then, in this position can also, we remember this position we adopt when we go to temples. So this kind of a posture naturally brings a sense of gratitude in you, or when you are filled with gratitude, you get into this posture. So if gratitude can bring me in this posture can help bring the feeling of gratitude within me. The gratitude is one emotion which yoga philosophy recognizes as the exact opposite of panic, anxiety, and fear. No person who is filled with gratitude can become fearful. Okay. So once you come into this posture, in the beginning, just continue gentle humming. And then as you relax more and more, then you connect to some person or deity, your God or your mother or your parent or anybody who you love. Connect to them, bring them into your consciousness, and bring those situations of your life where you have been helped, salvaged, and protected by these people. And then take their shelter again. Take their shelter again and thank the God, thank the deity, thank your mother, thank whoever who has protected you, and take their shelter in this kind of a situation. So this is, clinically speaking, we have found this particular technique of grounding oneself, then getting, turning inwards and reducing the vata by gentle humming, and then after that slowly bringing the imagery of the loved one who you feel an intense sense of gratitude, and then start thanking them for whatever that they have done and whenever they have protected you, and then take shelter and surrender oneself. So this is probably a way where people, from any cultural background, people in all religion, have somebody to connect to somebody to surrender to, and the whole humanity, I think can be helped by adopting this approach of grounding oneself. This is what I wanted to share with all of you. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Sir, good morning.
Yes, Prachi, yes.
So I have written two questions in the chat, like how to identify that this is a panic situation because of the anxiety. And so can you please try to help me to get this?
See, situation, Prachi, doesn't matter. What is it that is bringing it doesn't matter. When it starts, the process, the phenomena is exactly the same. The sympathetic activation goes up, heart starts pumping the blood pressure rises, blood sugar rises. So the whole point here is that you don't have to go into the situation. The attitude has to change. You have to get into gratitude. You have to get into positive kind of a situation. So this whole approach of whether my panic is coming from anxiety or not doesn't help. And there is no point in going into that also. In fact, it can trigger more anxiety in you when you try to identify the cause for your anxiety. So if a panic has come, it may be brought by some situation, brought by some trigger, like for Arjuna, seeing his kinsman opposite to him triggered anxiety to him. Sometimes anxiety may not come because of any known cause. It may come from your subconscious mind itself. There may be nothing. You may just be sitting and a panic attack may come. Okay. So questioning why I am anxious makes a person more anxious. What you have to do is focus your energy, telling that now my vata, my air is increasing. I have to ground myself. Focus yourself on grounding. Once you have grounded yourself properly, shift towards gratitude. Grounding to gratitude. That is the way out. I hope it answers your question.
Yes, sir, surely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, dear friends, please contemplate. We will meet again next week. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.